Hello, my name is Sophia Mannion-Boylson, and welcome to Disastrophie. Here I discuss disasters, true crime, what have you, all while I create a piece of art. Today I am going to cover a particular tornado in a particular outbreak in the year 1979. This is the Red River outbreak of 1979, better known in the town of Wichita Falls as Terrible Tuesday. The whole Red River outbreak took place between April 10th to the 12th in 1979. There were 60 confirmed tornadoes with a max rating of F4 on the Fujita scale. There were 58 fatalities with over 2,000 reported injuries. One in Indiana, 3 in Oklahoma, and 54 in Texas. This supercell was caused by a deepening low-pressure system that formed in Colorado, a warm front lifting north from the Gulf of Mexico. In the early afternoon, 3 supercell thunderstorms formed and moved northeastward. The first tornado of the first supercell formed near Crowell, Texas at 3:05 p.m. Central Time. 35 minutes later, around 3:40 p.m., the first tornado to cause fatalities went through Vernon, Texas, killing 11 people. Another tornado killed 3 people in Lawton, Oklahoma. The second supercell spawned a tornado that moved 74 miles or 119 kilometers. The third supercell was the one that formed around Seymour and Wichita Falls, Texas. The first tornado formed around Seymour at about 4:53. The second tornado moved through the south and east sides of Wichita Falls around 6 p.m. A third formed near Waurika, Oklahoma at around 8 p.m. The tornado that hit Wichita Falls was rated as an F4 on the Fujita scale. Now, with the enhanced Fujita scale, it would probably be closer to an EF5. The tornado cut an 8-mile or 13-kilometer path through the town. It killed 42 people and caused $400 million in damage, $1.93 billion in today's money. Witnesses say several distinct small vortices were visible during the early formative stages of the tornado. As it approached the town, 2 oil storage tanks were blown away. Several homes were de-roofed near Farm Road. The closer it got to Wichita Falls, the more its appearance changed to a large black cloud. The tornado was half a mile wide when it struck Memorial Stadium. McNeil Junior High School was also hit, with the western portion of the middle school being crushed. It moved east/northeast into Western Hills on the south side of Southwest Parkway. Here, several apartments and homes were destroyed, and the first deaths occurred in this area. The tornado expanded as it crossed Southwest Parkway, throwing cars and destroying a bank as well as a fire station. It was a mile wide when it hit the Faith Village neighborhood. Most homes in this area were destroyed. Ben Milam Elementary School was severely damaged. The cafeteria and auditorium were destroyed, and several classrooms were damaged. Despite this destruction, there were few fatalities in Faith Village, because people listened to the tornado warnings and took shelter, and most inner walls were left standing. Exiting Faith Village, the tornado flattened several businesses. 3 people were killed in a restaurant. There were a number of people killed in the parking lot of Sykes Center Mall on Kemp Boulevard. These deaths were caused by people attempting to escape in their cars. Inside the mall itself, portions of JCPenney collapsed, with the other stores sustaining moderate to light damage. No one was killed in the mall, as it was on the north side of the tornado path and escaped the worst winds. However, near the center of the tornado, a church was demolished with one person being killed inside. The tornado swept through the Southmore area, destroying homes and yet another shopping center. It crossed Highway 281 to strike the Sun Valley neighborhood. There, it smashed a large number of cars along Highway 287, which resulted in many deaths. Some people attempted to take shelter underneath an overpass. Next, it leveled a mobile home park on the north side of Highway 287. Remarkably, no one in the mobile home park was killed. They had all evacuated. The tornado continued out of the city and into Clay County with no deaths, but an additional 40 injuries. It finally dissipated around the northwest of Waurika, Oklahoma. All in all, 42 people were killed by the storm itself, while 3 died from heart attacks. 25 of 42 deaths were auto-related. 16 of those 25 were people who entered cars trying to evade the tornado. 11 of those 16 left homes that went undamaged by the storm. 8 were killed outside. 4 died in public buildings, and there were over 17,000 injuries reported. The total damage was around $400 million in 1979 dollars. 3,095 homes were destroyed, 600 were damaged, 1,062 apartments and condos were demolished, 133 were damaged, 5,000 families, around 20,000 people, were left homeless in Wichita Falls. I chose this disaster because I have a personal connection to it. My mother, uncle, and grandparents lived in Wichita Falls at the time, and the tornado just barely missed their house. I asked for what they remembered about that day, and here are their responses. First up is my mom's account. I remember the feeling of the weather. There had been storms off and on, and the air felt compressed in my lungs. The sky was green, and everything felt electrified as it seemed to hum. These are not words that a newly 3-year-old in November could have expressed in April, but I tagged along with my brother during the day. We had looked out into the backyard and had thoughts of hiking to what we felt in our little limbs, barely being able to see above the alleyway to the field, was a long way to a crevasse and large tree. We thought we could take lunch and go out there and defend the tree from the coyotes. Big ideas of noble sword fighting and mayhem. Then we saw a black cloud eat the tree. This was the way I could think of the disappearance. We had seen dust devils, but this cloud was different, bigger, blacker, and made the tree vanish. We left the back door. I am told my brother asked my dad what the cloud was that was now coming down the street in front of our house. I am told my dad was very calm and told him it was a tornado. We needed to get into the bathtub. I have no recollection of this. I know we got into the tub, but this experience is now muddled with many other times we got into the tub, my brother spraying me in the face with bath toys. I know our fence was blown away, but other than not having water, we were fine. I knew that we went across the street and got water from the neighbor's pool to flush our toilets. I know we had camping stoves or a grill and did not open the big freezer unless we had to do so, and not very long. I know we were not required to take baths, but also we could not go play in the mud. We did not have electricity for a while. I have no idea how long. My grandparents came down. I think they brought food. When we went to drive around the town, big stores I knew were gone. Memorial Stadium was damaged, and both the high school and junior high I would attend were also slightly hit or obliterated, respectively. I can think of every feeling of this, even the odd taste of the air, but the sound. My ears popped, but I do not recall the roar that comes with so many tornado stories. I belong to the Terrible Tuesday group on Facebook. Many of us have shared our stories. Many friends lost much more than I did, including family, friends, and houses, along with other property. I have seen the pictures and visited Ripley's Believe It or Not museum in Daftwa, seen some of the artifacts. The beast looks like a monster. What we saw in the field was a small part that joined the horde for the march through town later. I now live in a place that the weather goes around, but like Wichita Falls. There is a river, like Wichita Falls. The biggest suggestions I try to pass along: always have shoes, have everything charged that you need if you know a storm is coming, no matter what type, have extra food and water, as if you're going to be snowed in for 3 days, and know where your flashlights are. Emergency preparedness has always been something my folks have instilled in me. Thinking about how long it really was till people came means that they were prepared coming from Nebraska, even though it was a different storm. And next up is my grandfather's account. Our family had moved from Augusta, Georgia in October 1978. I started on a new job at the CertainTeed fiberglass plant. I worked in the information technology department in the front office part of the plant. Front office staff worked 8 to 5 days a week. I have been on active duty in the U.S. Army until 1978. This was my second civilian job. The family consisted of me, my wife Georgie, our son Brian, who was 4.5 by April, and Deanne, our daughter, who was 3.5 by April. We had moved into our house on the southwest part of Wichita Falls, a mile west of the plant where I worked. April 10th had been a normal day at work. Weather was nice and warm. I got off work at 5 p.m. and drove out of the parking lot within 8 minutes, arriving home by 5:30. I had noticed some clouds to the north and west of our house. We had a clear view in that direction because an alley separated us from a large cotton field. The TV was tuned to the local channel. The local weather guy said there might be some rain. National news was next. Just as the national news was wrapping up, Brian, who had been looking out the big sliding glass door to the backyard with a view to the northwest, said, "Mommy, that funny cloud that went across the field just turned around and came back this way." The sun was shining in the backyard. Local news started at 6 o'clock. The announcer said the tornado watch for Wichita Falls has just been canceled. The electricity in the house and the TV went off. There was no sound of wind. As I opened the front door part way, the sky to the south was clear. Leaves on the trees across the street were not moving. Opening the door all the way, I stepped out to the driveway and the edge off my garage. Half of the sky to the southeast from the ground up was a black churning mass, the tornado. There is a main electric transmission line coming into Wichita Falls from the south. The tornado had touched the ground on the transmission line, breaking it. Next, the tornado moved north to destroy a junior high school, the press box, and all the lights on a large football stadium. From there, the tornado turned northeast, stayed on the ground, and all the way through Wichita Falls to the east side of the town and beyond. After having Georgie and the kids come out to see the tornado, I said, "That black churning cloud is a tornado. Remember this and hope you are not this close to a big tornado again. Let's go into the bathroom and hope it does not come this way." We all got in the bathtub. I pulled on one of the kids' mattresses on top of us as protection in case the house was hit by the tornado. The bathroom had a mirror the width of the room and from the top of the counter to the ceiling. Crowding into the tub, the four of us crouched down and held the mattress to protect us from the glass mirror in case it broke into a million pieces. We heard loud thumps as something hit the roof. In 2 minutes or less, it quit. Finally summoning the courage to open the bathroom door, we cautiously looked out. The ceiling and the other side of the hallway were still there. Moving on to the front door, I slowly opened it. Houses on the other side of the street still had the same houses. As I went to the street, the sky was now clear. No big black cloud, no clouds anywhere. No birds, no wind, and no sounds either. Looking around the neighborhood for damage, the only thing I saw were 2 sections of fence in my yard that had been pulled off the posts. Since we did not have any supper, we started a fire in the fireplace and cooked some hamburgers from the freezer. There was no water pressure. Electricity was off all over town. The water plant did not provide any water. We knew a neighbor across the street had a pool in their backyard and they were not home. A garbage can and a wagon provided the means to have water for flushing the toilet. It took only one load enough to get water to last the 3 days that the electricity was off. That was the day, April 10th, 1979, which became known as Terrible Tuesday for Wichita Falls, Texas. We had tried to call Georgie's parents in Lincoln, Nebraska to let them know we were okay and our house had no damage. They were due for a visit within the next week. We drove south out of Wichita Falls, stopping at nearby small towns. They had no phone service either. All the phone long-distance lines went back to Wichita Falls to connect to places like Fort Worth or anywhere else. Finally, we drove across the Red River to Oklahoma to a rest stop on Interstate 44. We were able to make a collect call from there. Many houses were destroyed by the tornado. FEMA brought in many small trailers to provide temporary housing. The city built roads, installing water, sewer, electricity, and phone service to the trailers. I knew some people I worked with who lived in the trailers while a new house was being built on the slab, the only thing left on their lot. One person built a garage. The house they lived in is below the garage. Eventually, the trailers went away. In addition to the house damage, the trees in the path of the tornado took several years to recover. For up to 5 years, the path was visible from the air if a plane flew over the town. There is a Facebook group called 1979 Wichita Falls, Texas Tornado Terrible Tuesday with more comments and pictures. And last but not least is my uncle's account. On April 10th, 1979, there were a lot of thunderstorm warnings going off. We were at home listening to the brown square box that Dad had, which was a weather alert radio. We were also listening to the TV. I remember there were a lot of tornado warnings going off. There was severe rain and hailstorm. Then there were several tornado sightings. We were all in the living room at the house. Mom and Dad were getting stuff ready for if we lost power, getting flashlights and batteries together. Mom and Dad got blankets together too. Soon there were tornado sightings all over the county. There was even a tornado sighting where 3 tornadoes came together into one big tornado that eventually came through and tore up the town, Wichita Falls, Texas. Dad had opened the windows to the house to let enough airflow through the house. If you leave all the windows closed, it can cause suction to the roof of your house and pull it from the ground. Sometime while this was all going on, I went into my bedroom and looked out my bedroom window. All I could see was a large black mass blocking the sky. I called Dad into my bedroom and asked him what that was outside my window. I had never seen a tornado before and did not know what it was. Dad yelled for all of us to get into the hallway bathroom, into the bathtub. Dad, Mom, Deanne, and myself were all huddled together in our hallway bathroom in the bathtub. Mom and Dad were listening to the radio. Dad was periodically checking the house. The tornado had touched down out near our home, went up, and around our neighborhood. The power was out to the house. There was no running water or safe water to drink. After the tornado and storm had left where we live, we went outside to see the damage. Luckily for us, and most of our neighbors, we only had some shingles ripped off the roof and part of our fence knocked down. A large part of the town was not so lucky. Many houses and businesses were leveled. There was a grocery store that we used to go to. It was torn to the ground. A part of the mall was collapsed. There were houses everywhere ripped from their foundations. All you could see were the cement slabs where a house used to be. A lot of people lost their homes, businesses, and lives. For several days, we went to a store called Albertsons to get food and water to cook with and to drink. Water out of the faucet was not safe to drink. The water treatment plant had no power and was not working. I don't remember how many days we had no power. Food and water supplies were also scarce for several days until things were back and working. It took several years for some businesses to be rebuilt and back up and running. It was years before several of the cement slabs that once had been homes were rebuilt on. The tornado of April 10th, 1979 affected the whole town. People came together to help each other out. There were t-shirts that stated, "I survived the tornado of 1979. I think I still have one. This is about all I remember at the moment. The tornado being near our home, no power, food, and water for several days, the mass destruction and devastation that it caused to the town and its people. This is a short account of what I remember and the events that happened during and after the tornado." Hey guys, thanks for checking out this episode of Disastrophie. If you want, like, comment, share, subscribe, do what you feel like. If you want to support me, I've linked my Patreon in the description. There you will get to see the full finished image, an incredibly fast time-lapse of the creation process, bloopers, and possibly vote on what comes next. There could also be cute cat pictures of my fur baby Koshak, who knows. My Twitter is also in the description if you'd like to hear my random, usually very incoherent thoughts that I post there. Any other foo, you folks have a wonderful day, and don't do anything that get featured on the news.